Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back, my friends. Today we have with us Amit Rosenthal. He is the owner of an 84-year-old freight forwarding and international transportation company. Amit is here with us today. How's it going, Amit?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. And you, sir?
I'm doing great. So,
Perfect.
I've heard you've been in logistics since 1937. Is that true? That's when the company was created?
Yeah, so it's not originally me. Yeah, it was by my late grandfather. But yeah, indeed, my late grandfather came from Germany during World War II. He came to Israel. He started as a trucker driver in Israel, doing transportation for oil business. And today it's 2021 and we are still here. So I can literally say I was born and raised into the logistics world. I didn't drive myself, truck when I was 3 or 4, but I was alongside to the driver. I'm in the logistics world ever since, for sure.
So third generation into logistics. I guess that does qualify you as an expert. If I ever heard about an expert, it's somebody that was born into something and now for many, many years, right, explores that what they were born into.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the driving and the trucks. That means you actually do the transportation. Your company does the transportation. They don't just don't just outsource it like we see a lot of companies start these days that call themselves the freight forwarding companies, but in reality, all they do is outsource services. You are actually doing it and been doing it for 84 years. Is that correct? You do everything?
This is relatively right. Like there is no any company in the world, and I'm telling you, even if you take DHL, for example, or you take Maersk shipping line, which is the biggest shipping line in the world, nobody in the logistics world doing everything by their own means. Mm-hmm. They provide a lot to subcontractors. For instance, DHL doesn't have shipping line, Maersk line doesn't have airlines, and so on. So we are doing logistics. We have a company in the US and in China in regard to Amazon sellers. And we're doing the logistics by our own company. Of course, we have agents, we have subcontractors for doing the tracking and so on. Everybody relies on different subcontractors through the logistics chain. But in my opinion, and this is maybe the biggest, feature I can bring here, that freight forwarder is a field that there is millions of error and things going on during transportation from point A to point Z. And in my opinion, a good freight forwarder knows how to solve this incident, because incident will occur all the time. All right, it's not something that you can bypass, but a good freight forwarder should at least in my opinion see your business. All right, if you're an Amazon seller, so a good freight forwarder should see your business as my business, meaning I will not be a partner of yours, but I want at least to give you the feeling that I'm a partner with you, because the success of your business will be definitely success of my business. And eventually you will benefit in regard to good logistics, in regard to knowing and planning your logistics better. And of course, for us, it's better revenue, better name, in the industry and so on. So it's benefit for both sides, in my opinion.
Definitely is. I like that. My favorite types of shipping or deliveries or importing anything is when you don't hear anything about it. And until recently, we could get something from China, get it delivered directly to Amazon FBA. And then next thing you know, Amazon sends you a message and says, your product is being received. That is my favorite, because nothing. It's not that nothing went wrong, but I didn't hear about it. Somebody fixed it for me, right? Somebody like you fixed it for it. And those are great. Now, when you get calls that, okay, there's something wrong and there's another issue, that's the kind of thing that, well, it's time consuming and worries most sellers, right? Because not everybody is super experienced when it comes to buying something from China. So that's what you do. You remove all those headaches and you just get my product delivered and I just see it arriving and I just focus on selling it, correct?
Absolutely. Like I can definitely say, as I never sell anything besides logistics in my life, all right? But I can definitely say that if I'm putting myself as an Amazon seller point of view, all right, I can tell you that I have like very big sellers, 7 and 8 figures, and I have sellers just starting their business. Nobody, unless you have a specific team doing logistics, nobody wants to know about logistics and nobody wants to handle it. So once a seller give you his cargo to handle it in his behalf, it's not like doing PPC or advertising or something that you want to be involved. You want to give the logistics to an expert and to know that the goods being delivered on time without any mistake or error during transportation. So in my opinion, this is it's a good and bad thing because, if you don't have any experience with logistics or you don't know anything about logistics, so now the situation currently these days, with all the chaotic in China and the US, so you have to be at least aware of what is going on, right? But of course, you will not understand fully what is going on behind the scene, but a good freight forwarder should try to minimize the headaches and everything is going on and try to provide you the easiest path towards your delivery address.
Absolutely. I've heard of many terms and I kind of know what they are, like incoterms and customs regulations, duties, and it's not something that I feel like I don't want to learn it, right? I just want somebody else to deal with this, and of course I'm going to pay them to deal with it. And now you did mention you deal with 7 figures, 8 figure sellers, and a lot of people starting out. I'm guessing the ones starting out, well, maybe even everybody. Does everybody ask you for DDP? And first of all, kind of explain what DDP is, and then let me know if that is what people prefer.
Like let's start, but what does it mean, DDP or DDU? All right, I will expand like 2 words about each commercial terms. All right, so you have the Ex-Works, the FOB, the DDU, and the DDP. All right, there is additional commercial terms, but it's not relevant to Amazon sellers. Ex-Works, EXW, meaning the supply. You as a seller purchase cargo at China from the supplier. Supplier need to put the cargo at his outdoor of his warehouse, and now the freight forwarder should collect the cargo, doing the inland transportation in China, paying the customs process and everything, and ship the goods. All right, FOB, it's practically the same, but in this case, the supplier need to do the inland transportation, the export clearance, and put the cargo on the vessel, free on board. FOB meaning free on board. This is commercial terms between the seller and the supplier. Now, the majority difference between DDU and DDP, DDU meaning delivery duty unpaid, DDP meaning delivery duty paid, all right? The majority of the customers, 100%, ask the DDP cost, mainly because it's all in, meaning like, for example, you have 100 cartons, the cost per CBM is, for the example, is $100. So your freight cost is $1,000. It's easier than now starting calculate, let's say under DDU. All right, you will have 10 CBM, cubic meter. The cost will be, let's say, $95 per CBM. But then you will have to add the duty and the VAT, depending on the country, or the duty and the tax, only after the goods being released at destination. Meaning you will not have, before you handling your shipment, you will not know the exact cost of your total shipment. So this is the main reason why people prefer to do it under DDP. And yeah, the majority will prefer to go under DDP rather if it's going to US, to Canada, or to Europe. Europe, it's a different story because there is a lot of regulation by Amazon. Need to add the EIN number, enter the import number, but it's too complicated for the majority of the sellers.
Yeah.
So I can say that in general, in Europe, for sellers selling in Europe, Italy, France, Germany, now UK, it's a different story because of the Brexit. So in Europe, we're going usually under DDU, but for Canada, US mainly, we're going mainly by DDP term. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's something that has changed, I'm guessing, since 2020 because of COVID and the restrictions that Amazon caused. For example, there were things that me as a seller, selling for many years, because I already know the manufacturer and that supplier is trustworthy to me, I would ship, after still doing my inspections, I would ship it directly to FBA, right? It could be a can full and Amazon would receive it all. Now, you can't just ship cans and cans of material because there's limitations. What is there a workaround on that? What are people doing now? They just ship to a third party?
Yeah, so there was a lot of rumors in this regard that starting from January 1st, 2021, the limitation will be removed and so on. But eventually, so like a week before, during Christmas and the New Year, like we didn't do anything here because there was almost new shipment because everyone wait to January 1st. But eventually the limitation did not remove. So really the only way, there is no way to bypass this issue. The only way is to ship to 3PL. Like you can send limit of inventory to Amazon, depend on your account, but eventually you cannot ship the all cargo that you like. So the only solution is to work with 3PL. I think it was the best year ever for the 3PLs because they work, or the capacity grew like in an instance, like in a day moving forward. Once Amazon announced on this limitation, around April 2020, everyone started to need 3PL warehouses. I heard like horror stories about bad 3PL. People sent to 3PL. The 3PL was just overwhelmed, with the capacity. Yeah. And there was a major crisis. People lost a lot of money, during the Q4 sales because of bad 3PL solutions. So, in my opinion, the things to do in 2021, first of all, is to find and locate a good 3PL warehouses. Not working with 3PL that they just did it as a garage or I don't know whatever, because it will be okay. It will be okay in January and February and March, but during Q4, when you want your sales to be as efficient as possible, you will face for sure horror movies and horror stories, and better to find people or services provider that know the job and can handle the capacity that you have. In my opinion, this is the big thing, or the biggest advice I can advise here for 2021.
And I agree 100% because I've seen it, and I was dealing with 3 different 3PL companies, and for different reasons, and even the big ones, because one of them is like one of the biggest one in the US. But even they have issues because, like you said, they grew overnight. And when it came to in August, they told me in August they were doing 4 times the shipments that they would have done in fourth quarter of the year before. And this was by August, right?
This is crazy.
It is crazy. And then everyone that I dealt with had on their site notes that they weren't accepting any more customers because they were just so full. And
it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same at our 3PL. I can definitely tell you, and honestly about it, that there is, I think, just in the past like month or so, I have like, I don't know, around 50 more new clients that went to other freight forwarder that promises them, good things in regard to the 3PL, but eventually when the goods will arrive to their warehouses around November, end of October, start of November, it took 30, sometimes even 40 days just to, to label the cartons and ship it to Amazon. So they decided that everybody said to me, listen, I would better that you told me, like I told them, listen, I don't have the capacity. I cannot accept new clients, but at least they would choose other alternatives, right? In this case, they choose alternatives that could not handle this amount and this volume. And I don't want to be rude here, but they fucked up by that. So again, I do believe that the best suggestion here is to find and work with an expert. Logistics field is so complex. Just work with an expert in this regard, because again, we talked about it a bit earlier. I do believe that 2021, with everything that's now going on with the COVID and with container shortage in China and congestion issue at Los Angeles port, Long Beach, and everything going on now in the logistics world, I do believe that optimizing and handling the logistics change better is the key for success in 2021. For 100%, I do believe it. Put aside that I'm in this industry, right, in the logistics industry, but logistics is not a attractive field, right? Nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to speak and discuss about logistics. When you go into masterminds and other platforms and classes, you never heard about a logistics expert, all right? But I do really believe that 2021, a key for success is to manage and handle logistics change much better. And everybody take it from here,
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. Every mastermind you go to is talking about how to grow the sales and how to deal better with customers, but there's never the transportation, the logistics person there explaining what to do better before the product even arrives, because one of the things that people think the most is how to save money, and you can save a lot of money if you do things right too, right before you even get the product to Amazon. And that brings me to another point. In any industry that grows fast, in this case, I hate saying that it grew overnight because that never is true. But any industry that grows very fast has always that boom period and has a ton of unexperienced people starting businesses in that field to try to seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
Have you seen that happen too, where there's a lot of freight forwarders starting up, 3PL starting up, that you believe will not be around in a few months? Have you seen that?
Like for 3PL, indeed, like again, there is a lot of people saying they have a 3PL warehouses, but eventually it's the storage yard, in their backyard. So I don't see it as a 3PL in general. And logistics is not like, it's not that you can become an Amazon seller tomorrow, right? There is a lot of regulation in regard to logistics. There is IATA, FIATA. IATA is, I don't know how to pronounce it in English. IATA is like the head of regulation, right, in the marine industry, right? And this is FIATA, and IATA is the head of the regulation of the air logistics, right? So you have to be involved in this regard. You have to have authorization to ship goods in general. The industry is very, very difficult. You have to have a lot of manpower and support and digitize. So there is a lot of investment to open even a logistics business. So in my opinion, I don't see a lot of other freight forwarder company. And And even, by the way, you will not find anywhere a person that wake up, tomorrow and say to himself, wow, I want to be a freight forwarder. You will not see it, that you want to be entrepreneurs, you want to, I don't know, whatever, you want to be in high tech, you want to be in different industry, but not in the logistics. So usually a new freight forwarder companies are based by people that been in the industry before. So maybe there is a new freight forwarder that saw the potential, but because of the regulation by Amazon and the industry, I don't see it happening, honestly.
Okay, so that's
not
good.
that easy. Let's say it's not that easy.
That's good news, I guess. So that means when you're going to look for a freight forwarder, that at least they've been in the field before. And talking about regulations in Amazon, I see that you are listed in the SPN, which is the Service Provider Network on Amazon.
Yeah, right.
Does that help you a lot? Does it help you anything? Do you know if the customer is where they come from when they approach you?
Listen, it's like, I don't want to be rude, but maybe for other service provider it's good, but eventually it's a good diploma to put above your parents' house, at your parents' wall or at your parents' house. I don't see a lot of traffic from being a SPN provider. Yeah, there is clients approaching us, where they're from, coming from India, coming from Germany, but a lot of traffic, it's a small volume traffic, and in logistics, you usually aim, I don't say you only handling big volume, but you aiming towards big sellers and the big volume, because eventually logistics service provider on the logistics world looking to have big volume by the end of the month. So yeah, it's a nice diploma. It's nice to know. It's maybe give you a good authorization about my company, all right, that we are being a SPN provider, but concerning revenue-wise, no, I don't see such a difference in this regard.
Okay, got it.
This is by being honest, yeah? This is by being honest.
So a little bit more of a technical question now, something that I always wanted to know, because
sure.
Last year, for example, I was going to start importing a product. It was going to be sold in Europe, but it was something that I required a special ship. I couldn't just have it in cant. I required a silo ship. So basically, I would have to get the entire ship to myself, or an entire silo in that ship, and ended up not being too profitable. So we kind of scratched that idea. But one of the things I often think about is, how does somebody transport things that can't be exposed to cold temperatures? Do you have a solution for that? What is it?
It's more easy than you think. There is a reefer containers, which is a controlled temperature. So you can always put, but let's say we have another company here at Rosenthal, all right? We are doing import and export from Israel and to Israel. And we are import a lot. I can say 95% of the meat enter into Israel, all right? So again, we are not the buyers, we are just doing the logistics, all right, in behalf of the buyers. So we're putting all the cargo, all the meat in reefer containers under controlled temperature, but you cannot mix. If you want to, you cannot mix, let's say, a meat need to be under -1 degrees, all right? And if you want, let's say, import chocolate, so chocolate usually under controlled temperature +18 degrees. So if you want to ship cargo under controlled temperature, all right? So you need to ship different cargo in each container. You cannot mix different type of cargo in one container as long as they have the same temperature needed, all right? Because take, for example, a container shipped now by sea can reach easily, when it's closed and, on the vessel, and now it's in Jamaica or wherever, depending on the atmosphere. So the temperature can rise in a container easily to 80 degrees Celsius. So,
wow.
So, for general cargo, it can be, it's very from I don't know, from plastics to whatever. But as long as you need temperature control, so you have reefer containers, and you can ship it easily by reefer containers. Of course, the cost is higher. The SOP, of keeping the temperature control during transportation is more difficult, but there is a solution for it, and it's well known in the industry.
Okay, perfect. So all I would have to do is tell you that. So I would have to know, or do you guys have that in your SOPs? And we should talk about those too. But do you have those in your SOPs? If I don't know, if I'm shipping a certain type of product, do you guys know? If I don't know, as a seller, I'm a brand new seller and I'm selling chocolate or I'm shipping chocolate, would you know and just tell me you can't just ship it in a normal sea can?
Like, we don't have any SOP for that, but I can definitely advise, like if there will be any request such as, so we can definitely give the advice. Maybe a good thing to remember for people trying to sell food or, I don't know, any other product in this regard. So, if let's say you, Queen, now have 100 cartons, all right, and you have a friend with additional 100 cartons and so on. So what we're doing for general cargo, we're doing consolidation containers, meaning we pick up cargo from different clients, all right, and we put into one container and ship it. But if you have, let's say, in 40 high cube container, reefer container, you can put around 65 cubic meter, all right? Yeah. So let's say now you have only 20 cartons, all right, 1 CBM, you cannot share it with other clients unless they have the same goods and the same temperature control needed. So for people looking to sell or ship product under temperature control, they need to have volume. You cannot just tell me, listen, I have 5 cartons, let's ship it by reefer container. There is no way. It's not economic to the client to do it.
Exactly. They would have to use up the whole space under that climate control. Okay.
Right. Or ship it by air. There is always also air control, like air temperature control for air shipments. But again, the cost is very high. So unless you are an expert and unless you know for a fact that you have a business, in regard to the selling rate you have, talk to a good freight forwarder for advice in this regard because it's complex.
Perfect. I mean, I know you have over 700 clients, and that's really impressive. For 2021, do you have plans to grow that? What are you doing to grow your business?
Yeah, so personally, I have always inspiration to grow. I can say, if I'm being honest here, that I enter into the top seven-figure sales, all right, on a yearly account. And I felt like I reached a ceiling wall, like meaning I'm trying to expand more and more, but it's more difficult. Because today we are working quite like the old times, meaning you send me quote by email, I send you a rate back, then we started corresponding, the goods are ready, where is it, and so on. So today we bring investment into our company in order to digitize everything, meaning the rate will be under a platform. You enter your like, it's not going to be tomorrow, all right?
Yeah.
But it will take around a half a year from today. So you will enter your shipment details into a website or into an application. You get a rate on the spot, and from there everything will be digitized from picking up the goods until the cargo will be delivered to destination. You can check your status on from everywhere, your shipment status. You can know the location, the exact location of the cargo. So this is what we are aiming towards 2021. We see this, first of all, because of the COVID, in the logistics field, you have a lot of manpower in the company. So eventually your profit, after working so hard during every year, with such pressure from the clients, eventually you have not zero profit, but you have a slim profit, after taxes and so on. So we found out that the first thing we need to decrease is the manpower and digitize all the process. Definitely, we cannot work without manpower, because eventually, as you ask me question and so on, so there is use for the people here to have advice. Somebody need to check something, so no problem. Yeah, but there is no way that for every shipment, people now need to call our customer service, ask where is the locate of the cargo, what is going on, and so on. So this is my main focus today. I'm working super hard within engineering to digitize everything. I'm building SOP for all the process here, everything, and so on. So hopefully, cross fingers, around 1st June and so on, we should be uploaded and we should be on the air. And I do believe that my life will be much easier from that point on, because it should minimize the customer question and so on, at least in my opinion, by 70%. We see different freight forwarders doing the same. So I do believe that this industry of the logistics going towards digitize the process and everything.
I think that's fantastic, because when anybody goes to logistics, or I'm talking for myself, but when I would go to any logistics website, for example, and if you want a quote for something, that you have to send an email,
right?
And you're not going to get that answer right there. There was no quick solution to know something. You would have to wait for that reply in that email, and then most of the times, the reply that came on the email was asking you something that you missed on the first email you sent, like right, what's the CBM, like, okay, I didn't so another day goes by, and then it would take 3 days to get something simple, and that's just going to speed up. I think that's going to be fantastic for you to acquire more customers, because if you have that solution.
This is like, I can only cross fingers. Usually I believe in myself, in this regard, that if I'm aiming towards something, usually I reach the goal. So I'm telling you honestly, like, this is the real thing that we are doing these days. We are investing a lot of money in this. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but I do believe that 3 to 6 months from today, we should have a platform that can do, we can do automatic quote and everything. Like like any other application in the world, they're gonna be needed some adjustments, period and time. But eventually, this is the goal. And hopefully, if we will talk exactly today in 2022, we will see it working like consistently and efficiently.
Got it. One of the things that I used to do, I don't know if everybody's the same, but every time there's a ship with my cargo on the way to, let's say, on the way to the US, I would always like to track that ship, just for almost like a tracking number. So I would get the name of the ship from that bill of lading. I would go to marinetraffic.com, enter the name of my vessel, or the vessel that has my product, and then just track it. And that's just, I don't know, for me, I enjoyed it, because it's something that it's crazy that you could even track almost any vessel that's going across the sea, and those little arrows. To somebody that's on the outside, for you, that's probably normal, but somebody on the outside, I was fascinated by that. And I wanted to have in my office a TV that connected to a computer that was always showing where my ships were.
You have a lot of spare times, huh?
Yeah.
There is a lot of application in this regard today. There is a lot of, let's say, chip, I don't know how to pronounce it in English, that you can enter into the container, and then you can really track it and see the exact location on the vessel today. Wow. Where is it even, at sea? There is a lot of advantage in this regard, but there is a lot of solutions and everything. In this industry, people understand that manpower today for a business is the majority of the majority of the revenue eventually going to salaries for your employees. So people trying to reduce the manpower in every company. I don't think the logistics is specific. I think it's relatively in every field in the world. Now, because of the pandemic and the COVID-19, everybody, almost not everybody, but usually you look into the high tech or the biggest company in the world, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and so on, and you see that the majority of the manpower and the employees there do not come even to office.
Yeah.
So you started to thinking yourself, all right, what can I do to improve my final revenue in the end of the year? So we figure out that the main thing we can slightly cut is the people that working here for us. And this is the main reason why we want to digitize today everything what we just discussed, just to be more efficient and to provide, eventually you as a client, if you approach a logistics company, you want to know where is your goods at and when it's going to be delivered. This is the only thing that's important to you. So this is the reason why we're doing everything here. First of all, to cut the salaries and to grow eventually the yearly revenue. And second of all is to bring bring more transparency and efficiency towards our client in regard to transportation status and so on.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. And you hit the nail on the head, because in certain services, and for example, for me, I have 14 staff, and not one comes to the office, right? They all work since the beginning, since April or March or whatever it was from 2020. It's just some businesses, it's easier to do that than others that need, the essential workers to do some work, or essential workers for that business, right?
Yeah.
Amit, tell me something before I let you go. Tell everybody one of the most important things. If they want to deal with you, where do they find you?
Yeah, so thank you. First of all, you can find me by email. My email is quite long, so I will type it down. Maybe we can enter it somewhere.
Yeah.
You can check us via our website, which is www.ros@ecom.com. All right. Via my Facebook page, I adding there a lot of information in regard to logistics in general, what is going on these days with the logistics solution, how to bypass all the chaotic things that are going now. So I highly recommend to follow me via my Facebook page. There is a lot of picture of my babies as well, but as well, I'm putting a lot of content in regard to logistics. And I can share also my team email, and you can contact us everywhere. We're always trying to support and answer the client ASAP. This is a goal of mine towards my colleagues. We are trying to be responsive as possible and provide the best service that we can.
That is perfect. And Amit, I'll have those on the show notes. Amit and everybody else that's listening, I'll have Amit's email and his links on the show notes for you guys to check it out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Amit, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thanks for sharing the knowledge.
Yeah, Quinn, thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.